Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. Today we shall be looking at some revision questions, very important for examinations, especially those of you in the senior category and upper basic, and that is a SS3. All right, so here are some of the important questions you may be challenged with during the first term examination. Here we have a quadratic expression y squared minus 12y plus 35. All you need to do is to get the product of the value of A and C. C represents the constant value. Every quadratic equation is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, whereby the value that is attached to anything with squared is called a value. But in this case, we do not have a number here, so the coefficients of y squared here remains 1. All right, so this is the C value, which represents 35 here. So what we are supposed to do first is to multiply A and C. Then in this particular question that we have on the board, the A value is 1 because there's no number here. All right, so the coefficients of y squared is 1. Then the C value is 35. So when we multiply 1, the invisible one there, by 35, that will give us plus 35. That is 1 times plus 35 will give us plus 35. Now, there are some certain things we need to do in order to know the factors of 35 that we can use to replace the middle one here, whereby the two factors, when multiplied together, will give us plus 35, but when added together, will give us minus 12. What are those factors of 35? So checking the factors of 35, these are the numbers that can divide 35 without remainder. We know that 1 can divide 35. We know that 5 can divide 35. We know that 7 can divide 35. And we know that 35 can divide 35. These are the numbers that can divide 35 without remainder. Which among these factors that when we multiply them together, it will give us plus 35. And when we put them together, it will give us minus 12. Of course, we will be dealing with 5 and 7 because when you add 5 and 7, that will give us 12. It has given us a clue of the number we are going to be challenged with. But one most important thing here is that the product is positive while the summation is negative. So how do we make these two numbers to look in such a way that it will give us minus 12, and when we multiply them together, it will give us positive 35. And that is to say minus 5 minus 7. Because when you multiply minus 5 times minus 7, that will give us plus 35 because minus times minus is plus, and 5 times 7 will give us 35. So let's think of it here. Negative 5, negative 7, that is a negative 5, negative 7. That will give us negative 12. That means these two numbers has met the condition. It has met the condition. So we'll be making use of the two factors of 35, which is minus 5 and minus 7. So what do we do with the two factors? We are to use them to replace the middle number here. We use them to replace the middle number here. That will now look like this: y squared. Then in place of the middle one, we replace it with these two. That will now be minus 5. You attach y to it, y. Then minus 7y, then plus 35. That is exactly what we are to do. So the first thing you do is to get the product of A and C. Whatever that gives you here, you look for the factors of this number that when you multiply them together, it will give you this. Remember, together with the sign. Then when you add them or subtract them together, they will be able to give you negative 12. All right, and those numbers are 5 and 7, and we're able to make it to be in such a way that it will be able to give us positive 35 by product and by addition negative 12. All right, so let's now factorize in pairs. We factorize in twos, that's in pairs. What is the common factor between y squared and 5y? And that is y. Y divide y squared will give us y minus y divide 5y will give us 5. So we just factorize the first two pair. So what is the common factor between 7y and 35? Of course, the common factor is 7 because 7 can go into 35. So you make use of the first sign. Just know that if it's a question that is factorizable, the same bracket you have in the first one will be the same bracket you are going to have in the second one. So the common factor between 7y and 35 is 7. Then we open up a bracket. Then 7 divide 7y will give us y. Then negative divided by positive will give us negative. 7 divided 35 will give us 5. So you can see that what we have in the brackets are the same. You pick one of them, y minus 5. Then you now pick the coefficients of each of these brackets. The coefficients of this first bracket is y. The coefficients of the second bracket is minus 7. So you combine the two, that is y minus 7. So this is the result of the factorization of y squared minus 12y plus 35. So that is for number one. Now let's move to the second question. Then number two question says express 0.00025581 to two significant figures. We know that significant figures are non-zero numbers that are not zeros. But zero can become significant, especially when it comes in between two significant numbers. If we have, for example, 0.2005. This particular zero here is not significant, it's insignificant. Whereas these two zeros are significant because they appear in between two significant figures. So the question we have on the board says that we should leave this number or express the number to two significant figures. Then our significant figures start reading from here 1, 2, 3, 4. So for us to leave this number in two significant figures, we start from the left and identify the significant figures 1, 2, because they say two significant figures. So that will not be significant figure number 1 and number 2. So that is to say these ones will not be considered. But can 8 round up a number? Yes. The numbers that can round up another number begins from 5. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 can round up another number. So for that reason, our answer will not be 0.0002. Then 1 plus 5 will give us 6. That is the answer to two significant figures. Now we move to number 3. Number 3 is an inequality. That's inequality in one variable. And we are asked to solve this and represent our answer on a number line. So these look quite like a simple equation. But what differentiates this from simple equation is that we are using inequality symbol. That is greater than, this is greater than or equal to. We have other symbols, less than or equal to. We have greater than, we have less than. And what we mean by inequality is something that is not equal. To compare two things which are not equal, that is inequality. All right, so to solve this, just like I said before, inequality in one variable is just like simple equation. If we should have the equation in this form, 3x minus 7 equal to 5, one can actually solve this quite easily. But whenever students see this kind of sign, they get scared. Both of them have the same operation, only that this is just the only thing that differentiates the two. All right, so let's have a solution to this. So we collect like terms. We have a 3x greater than or equal to 5. Negative 7 moving up across to the other side become positive 7. You have a 3x is greater than or equal to 12. That is 5 plus 7 will give us 12. So we divide both sides by the coefficients of x. Then x will now be greater than or equal to 12 divided by 3. Then x is greater than or equal to 4. That is the result of this particular question. Then to represent our answer on a number line, then here we have a 0, we have 4, we have 8, that's using multiples of 4. Then we have negative 4, negative 8. And our answer here is positive 4. So we raise a bar, then open up a circle. If it reads greater than or equal to, that is to say the circle will be shaded. But if it just reads greater than, then the circle will remain open. All right, so it's going to be a closed circle when it is greater than or equal to, or even less than or equal to. So we have to close up the circle. We are closing up the circle because the question read or equal to. So now we have a greater than or equal to. When it reads greater than, your arrow will be pointing towards the right hand side if it is greater than. But if it is less than, the arrow will be pointing towards the left hand side. So that is the result of number 3 question. Let's move to number 4. Number 4 is base numbers involving equation. And what we have on the board is 21 in base y. 21 in base y equal to 9. Whenever you see a number without any base attached to it, that means that number is automatically in base 10. Sometimes they'll put it up like this. That is 9 base 10. But if they fail to attach the base to that particular number during exams, just know that it is automatically in base 10. Now, to resolve this, what we have to do is to take the place value of the numbers given. All right, so that will now be, you convert everything to base 10. Whenever you have something like this, whereby you have the unknown base to find, all you need to do is to convert everything to base 10. But remember, this one is already in base 10. So you don't have to convert base 10 to base 10. So this is already in base 10. So we have to convert this particular one in base 10. So everything we'll be having will now be in base 10. So converting this in base 10, we call this 0, call this 1. So the next thing we have to do is to convert this to base 10. That is by saying 2 multiplied by the base raised to power 1 plus 1 multiplied by the base raised to power 0 is equal to 9. Recall, 9 is already in base 10. We will not be converting 9 to base 10 because it's already in base 10. So we have 2 multiply y raised to power 1 is just y plus 1 multiplied by y raised to power 0 is equal to 1. Any number raised to power 0, anything raised to power 0 in mathematics and science is automatically equal to 1. So is equal to 1, then equal to 9. 2 times y will give us 2y plus 1 multiply 1 will give us 1 equal to 9. We collect like terms. Here we have a 2y is equal to 9 minus 1. Positive 1 going over to the other side become negative 1. 2y is equal to 8. Then divide by the coefficient. Y is equal to 8 divided by 2. So therefore, the value of y is equal to 4. So 4 will be in place of this. If you want to check your working, you can actually say 21 in base 4. Converting it to base 10, whether you'll be able to get 9. So that will be 0, 1. That will now be 2 multiplied by 4 raised to power 1 plus 1 multiplied by 4 raised to power 0. So here you'll be having 2 multiplied by 4 raised to power 1 is 4 plus 1 multiplied 4 raised to power 0 is 1. So that gives us 2 times 4 will give us 8 plus 1 multiplied by 1 will give us this. So 8 plus 1 will give us 9. That will show you that the answer is correct. All right, so now let's move to question number 5. For the number 5 question, is similar to that of number 4, which is a base number involving equation. Here we have a 103 or 103. Don't call it 103 actually, because we identify them digit by digit because the base number. 103 base n is equal to 19 base 10. So 19 is already in base 10. So all we need to do is to convert this to base 10. That will give us 0, 1, 2. This one is already in base 10. So converting this to base 10 will now be 1 multiplied by the base raised to power 2 plus the next 0 multiplied by n, which is the base raised to power 1 plus 3 multiplied by the base n raised to power 0 is equal to 19. 1 multiplied by n raised to power 2 plus 0 multiplied by n raised to power 1 is n, plus 3 multiplied by 1. Anything raised to power 0 is equal to 1. Then equal to 19. Then 1 times n squared will give us n squared plus 0. Anything multiply 0 will give us 0. 3 times 1 will give us 3 equal to 19. Then we collect like term, that will now become 9. N squared is equal to 19 plus 3. Moving over there become minus 3. Then n squared is equal to 16. When you have squared, what do you apply to both sides? You apply square root to both sides when you have squared. Therefore, n is equal to square root of 16. N is equal to 4, and 4 is the result of this particular question. All right, so now we move to question number 6 as we are rounding up. Then for the question number 6 is a base number which is given in base 10, 7.125 in base 10, and we're asked to convert it to base 2. What you have to do in this case, because it's a decimal number, you have to first of all convert 7 to base 10. That's the whole number part. You convert it to base 2. So that is 7. Converting 7 to base 2, we'll use 2 to divide all through, taking note of remainders. 2 divides 7 will give us 3, remainder 1. 2 divide 3 will give us 1, remainder 1. And 2 divide 1 will give us 0, remainder 1. I believe you are familiar with this kind of a solution. Otherwise, you check our previous videos where we talked about base numbers, conversion of base 10 to other bases and other bases to base 10. All right, so for this, we write our answer from bottom to the top. That will now give us 1, 1, 1 dots. Then we'll now go to the decimal to solve the decimal part. So for the decimal part, that is 0.125. 125. Then converting the decimal to base 2. All we need to do, converting decimal to base 2, not the whole number. Whole number, you do it this way. But for the decimal, you continue to multiply it by 2. Unlike this other one, we divided by 2. You multiply this by 2. So when you multiply this by 2, that will give us 0.25. What you do is that you write the whole number part of whatever that is being given to you. In this case, it is 0. And carry the decimal over 0.25. You continue to multiply it to that number you are converting it to. So 0.25 multiplied by 2, that will give us 0.5. Then we write the whole number part, which is 0, and take the decimal 0.5, which is something as 0.5 multiplied by 2, and that will end up giving us 1. So you can see that signals the end of the whole thing. So for this particular one, you start writing your answer from top to bottom. But for this, you start writing your answer from bottom to the top. So what we now have for the decimal part will now be 0.001. So putting both of them together, our result now becomes 111 point. Then we'll continue with this 001 base 2. That is the solution to this particular question. All right, so let's now move to the last question for this particular exercise. Then for the last question, number 7, 1031 base 4 to base 6. We have to convert base 4 to base 6. There is no direct method of converting between base 4 and base 6, because the base that is central to all bases is base 10. So the first thing we do is to first of all convert base 4 to base 10, and thereafter we convert back to base 6. So let's convert this to base 10 first. 10314 to base 10. 0, 1, 2, 3. So we pick it digit by digit. 1 multiplied by the base raised to power 3 plus the next digit 0 multiplied by the base, which is 4 raised to power 2 plus 3 multiplied by the base raised to power 1 plus 1 multiplied by the base raised to power 0. So here we have 1 multiplied by 4 raised to power 3 means 4 times 4 times 4, and that will give us 64 plus 0 multiplied by, this is 4 times 4, which is 16, plus 3 multiplied by 4. 4 raised to power 1 is 4. Anything raised to power 0 is equal to 1. So here we have 64 plus 0 plus 12 plus 1. Merging them together, we have a 64, 13, that's a 12 plus 1. That will give us 7 here. That will give us 7 as well. So what we are going to be having will be 77 in base 10. Now what we are to do is to now convert 77, which is in base 10, to base 6, which is the final destination. Let's have a look at that. Now converting 77 to base 6, that is 77 to base 6. 6 divided 77 will give us 12, remainder 5. 6 divided 12 will give us 2, remainder nothing. Then 6 divided 2 cannot go through because 6 is bigger than 2. So 6 divided 2 will give us 0, remainder these 2 that cannot go through. So remember, you start writing your answer from bottom to the top. So the final answer to the question will be 205 in base 6. And that is the final result of this particular revision. Do have a great day, and I wish you good luck in your examination. Bye.